corrupt practices and the abuse of power. The OSP must do this in the courtroom and stop organizing press conferences and criticizing decisions. Don't you agree from where you sit as CSO?
Well, good morning, Samson, and good morning to your other panelists. So I partly agree with the OSP, but I also partly disagree in some other areas. If you think about the issue of corruption and the fact that I think that there are times where you need to court public support in your fight against corruption, then I can see the virtue of his regular updates as required by the law, but also I can see the virtue of expressing frustration that he may feel on the job, right? Because I think that sometimes we tend to treat corruption as a purely legal fight, right? We subject it all the time to a legal test. And not that I have a problem going to the courts or dealing with the law, no. But I think the nature of corruption is such that you also sometimes need to use political tools to fight it. And some of those political tools involve courting public support, expressing your frustration to the public, so that the public may then find ways to put pressure or at least to draw the attention of some of these key political actors to, let's say, take the fight against corruption more seriously than perhaps they would ordinarily do. So in using some of those strategies, as a public administrator, he's doing the art part of it. It can't always be the science of public administration. So on that note, I agree with him using some of those tactics, right? If you look at the reaction that he's getting, you can see that the public's reaction is one of, this fight against corruption is much tougher than anyone can imagine, that is going to take a long time, etc., etc. So you sensitize the public to how difficult this fight against corruption is. The part where I disagree with the special prosecutor is, going into the specifics of particular rulings and his disagreements with that, but also couching in a language that seems to suggest that there is some sort of concerted effort on the part of the judiciary to make his work difficult. That I think is very worrying, and it's also very worrying because the judiciary is not enjoying the best of public perception at this moment. You mentioned Afrobarometer, so I have to throw in Afrobarometer once again. But if you look at the question of trust in our courts of law and the perception in our courts of law based on the Afrobarometer data, the courts are not enjoying the best of public perceptions. And you need, and again, the level of trust is also at an all-time low. So when you combine all of these things, where you need to get citizens to find ways to repose or regain their confidence and trust in this very important institution, then it becomes even more worrying when the special prosecutor comes out and gives this press conference and say the kinds of things that may reinforce some of the suspicions or the mistrust that citizens are already having, in the court. And it is not every time that you would expect to, quote unquote, win a case in a court of law. For me, win or lose, so long as the institution followed all the right procedures and dealt with the case in a fair and impartial manner, then we must respect the outcome, because that is the only way I believe you can strengthen trust and faith in institutions, right? The real test of how much I trust an institution is not when things go my way. It is when things don't go my way and I'm able to still embrace the decision of that institution is what, or is how you build confidence and trust. And for me, that is the worrying part for me, with regard
your friends in the